I'll be right back. Okay, so I want to talk to you about debt. Hold on just a second. Okay, hi, whoever hopped on. Okay, so I'm going to talk quickly. I don't know if this is going to be quickly, but I need to make sure that I'm not missing the call. So hi, everyone. If you don't know who I am, I'm Molly Murray Sapp. I am a mindset strategist for high performance females. If you don't know me, if you're stumbling upon this video and you're like, what is this? What's going on? I announced in my Facebook group, High Performance Female, that I'm going to be talking about all things debt. Okay? All things debt. All things debt, all things debt, all things debt, all things debt. And I'm going to post this in my Facebook group. Let's see here. Hang on just a second. So, how do I say this? I have had a bunch of clients who have been in debt. Sounds a little bit crunchy. Thank you for letting me know. What about this? Is this better? 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 Is it better? No. Share to a group. Is it better? That's it. Okay, cool. Okay, shoot. Well, poo on this. Hang on. Okay, so what I'm talking about today is, did you see me sniffle? What I'm talking about today is the differences with okay, this is like different. Okay, so what I want to talk about is the different types of character dynamics, and I don't even know how many there are, but I'm just basically going to count it out right in front of you. Now, the first person is the serial debtor. Okay, this is the person who constantly gets them in debt, out of debt, 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 in debt, out of debt. Now, and I hate it when I hear slurping noises from people who are drinking stuff, but just bear with me, forgive me. I want to put some lipstick on. Okay, so how does this work? Okay, so in debt, out of debt chicks and guys. Basically what you're doing is you're like, I'm going to pay off my debt, 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 I'm going to pay off my debt. And you somehow, bless your heart, get into a space where you're paying off your debt, and 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 you keep paying off your debt. There's no like actual legit you getting ahead. There's no actual you having fun with your money. There's no actual you moving past this stuff. It's just flat out, you're getting out of debt, you're getting out of debt, you're getting out of debt, and you're getting out of debt. And so it's like, and the thing is that you're focused on, I'm going to pay off debt, I'm going to pay off debt, I'm going to pay off debt, I'm going to pay off debt. Now the thing about that is that you're so consumed with paying off debt that you don't actually focus on what it is that you need to focus on. What you focus on grows. So if you're like, I'm going to pay off debt, 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 I'm going to pay off debt. Well, you're going to constantly be attracting paying off debt, paying off debt, paying off debt, paying off debt, paying off debt. I'm super worried that I'm going to miss a phone call. So I'm like, because I just did that. Okay, so I have a 12:15 that canceled. We had to reschedule. Okay, we're good. And so you're so consumed with paying off debt, 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 that you're not actually like getting into a space to even be able to think about overflow. There's not even a thought about making a lot of money. There's not even a thought about being able to get out there and make money and use it for what people make money for. It's just about paying off debt. So it's like if you're in a space where you're not able to enjoy money, then it's kind of like, why would you make money? So it's kind of at the same time like you're not even getting to a place where you can honestly think about becoming wealthy. And part of the way you make money is you think about being wealthy. You are in the end result of being wealthy. You can't make a lot of money and feel poor and feel like you have to pay off debt at the same time. It just doesn't work that way. So it's kind of like, and if you're one of those who like, you know, pays off debt and then gets back into debt, it's kind of like, okay, so I'm, you know, moving along. And I'm like, okay, so let's say I made $100,000 and I need to pay off $30,000 in debt. Okay, so you space it out and you probably put in, let's say you pay off, you know, $30,000 in a year, right? And you're at $100,000. Okay, so you're making $100,000. That's like $8,300 a month, give or take. And so $30,000 in debt, that's about $2,500 a month. So you've got your living expenses, so at least $5,000 a month. So minus $5,000 a month, you're at $3,000. So if you're paying off debt, you're minus $2,500. That's $500 left of you being able to enjoy your life and being able to feel like a wealthy person. So meanwhile, you're paying off debt and you're feeling like a really like, you know, this like burdensome feeling. And not only that, but you're feeling like you're not worthy to actually enjoy your hard work. You're feeling as though you can't ever get ahead. You're feeling like, okay, I'm working off what it is that I need to work off. I'm doing what it is that I need to be doing. I'm doing it. I'm paying off debt. And there's this part of you that is getting off to getting the debt paid off, but you're not actually getting to a space where you can feel, you didn't even save for taxes, so you're going into debt even more. I didn't even want to cover that, but you're absolutely right, Michelle. So you're in a constant state of debt. Okay? And so there's this energetic dynamic about debt that keeps you stuck. It keeps you in a holding pattern, right? So you might pay off your debt, and then you get to a place where, okay, so you've paid off the debt, and then you still have the $500 coming in, and you get to this place where you've been depriving yourself of a vacation, of nice clothes, of, you know, feeling like a rich person, of feeling abundant, of feeling that like life is going to be good to you, of feeling that things can, happen for you, the feeling that anything is blissful. So what I want you to do is I want you to write down and act as if you haven't been in this position already, I want you to write down when you're paying off debt and that's what you're spending the majority of your money on. How are you feeling about yourself? How are you feeling about your ability to make money? How are you feeling about your worth as somebody who is making money? Write all that stuff down, because what you're going to find is you're literally wiring yourself to feel like you need to be punished and that you are being punished and that you're finally working off being punished. So you're in this constant state of basically wiring yourself to be this person who is working off constantly being punished. And at the same time, it kind of is a rebellion thing where you kind of like, you know how rebels feed off of having to work off their punishment? Like, you know, in movies where James Dean types, they have to go into detention and it's kind of like they're cool for getting into detention. And so you're constantly, you know, paying off debt and here you go. So you're basically like wiring yourself over and over and over and over and over and over and over to have to pay off debt. Okay? And so then what happens is you just can't ever get out of it. It just stinks. It stinks. It's like horrible BO. Like horrible BO. Okay? Horrible BO. So if you're one of those people, I want you to start associating that with horrible BO. Got it? Okay, good. The next type of person, it's a horrible analogy. The next analogy that I want you to think of is not analogy, character, is the person who is just drives themselves into more and more debt and 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 more and more debt. And the thing is that if you drive yourself into more and more and more and more debt, you're feeling like you're never going to actually make money. And so the thing about this type of person is like, you'll find this in business because they'll do a lot of investing, but they won't actually, they won't ever actually make money because they're thinking that the next thing is going to give them stuff. The next thing is going to give them stuff. The next thing is going to give them stuff. And by the way, if you're not in my money boot camp, you need to get in because this is the type of stuff that I help people get out of. And if you're afraid to make investments, which I'm going to cover in the next one, is that you're never going to really actually get yourself out of this bondage even. You might want to call it. Okay, so they are constantly getting themselves in debt and debt and debt and debt and debt, and they're not investing in their mindsets to change the way that they think because this debt stuff is never about debt. It's about your mindset that's getting you in a place where you have to like have this burden carrying around. Because if you really think about it, you're not actually in a space where you're making money and you're not even actually in a space where you're thinking wealthy. You're not actually in a place of feeling good about yourself. It's the shame and the guilt and the punishment that you're carrying around that's keeping you from moving forward in life. If you write down your internal dialogue around debt and how it really makes you feel, then you're going to see a whole lot of negative thoughts, negative patterns, negative beliefs that is keeping you like in a headlock around money. Okay? So you want to get out of that. Okay? So in terms of somebody who is constantly getting themselves into debt and they want to get their head straight and they're thinking about investing in this money boot camp, right? And they are $100,000 in debt. Okay? Now they are like, sometimes you'll see them like say, no, I can't get myself into any more debt, right? And they're like, no, I can't get any more debt. I can't get any more debt. And the thing about that is that usually with the subconscious, you have a conscious mind and a subconscious mind. Your conscious mind hears, sees, determines what I'm saying right here, right now. Your subconscious has your belief systems, your patterns, your understanding of what needs to happen in order for you to make your dreams come true, all the answers to all the things that you need. And learning how to tap into that is like, if you can align your subconscious with your conscious mind, literally miracles can happen. Okay. So with that being said, but it can also stop you dead in your tracks. That's why you have addictions. That's why you have habitual patterns. That's why you remember how to do things. That's why things become automatic, and et cetera, et cetera. So if you get into a pattern of something, referring back to the one who's like in debt, in debt, in debt, in debt, in debt, if you get into a pattern of being somebody who's just constantly driving themselves into more and more debt versus somebody who's in debt, out of debt, in debt, out of debt, in debt, out of debt, you're literally being a person who is wiring yourself to be afraid to receive money because there's this payoff to constantly increasing your debt. And there's this feeling, I've worked with clients on this, that they think that they have to get to a certain level of debt before they can have a big breakthrough. It's really weird, but you think that you have to keep going down into a spiral, into a spiral, into a spiral. And so you can't actually like come out of it, because then if you did, you'd have to pay off your debt. And you don't want to pay off your debt because there is this part of you that's like, I'm going to get somewhere, I'm going to get somewhere, I'm going to get somewhere. And you're being rebellious. And there's feeling of like, ooh, ah. It's really weird, but it's really interesting. It's an interesting dynamic because there's this subconscious payoff to being in this position where you are constantly in this state of debt, and that is actually what's keeping you from making money, because if you actually were making money, you might actually pay off that debt. Okay? The third dynamic is the person who is who had a lot of debt and paid off the debt, and is so afraid to go back into debt, but is not investing in anything because they're so afraid of going into debt, because they don't trust themselves to make money and they don't trust themselves to take care of the debt. Now, this person you want to look at, and like, okay, like an example is they went into a lot of student loan debt, right? And they, 10 years later, they want to build a business, and they need to, they've invested their own cash flow and nothing's happened. And they realize that they need mindset work, or they realize they need something. And so they're afraid to invest because they're afraid that if they do, they're going to drive themselves in this constant state of investing and not getting a return. And so this person, you want to be aware that they're keeping themselves from allowing themselves to go to the next level. They're afraid of going to the next level because if they actually did invest in something like, I would recommend mindset coaching, if especially if you're in this dynamic, because it's like, it's all a head game. And if you look at money, you had to sell something to make money. Sales is a head game. It's all a head game. Head game, head game, head game. If you look at any movie about sales, and I said this earlier, if you look at any movie about sales, it's all a head game. All of it. So if you're in debt, head game. It's all a head game. And the truth of the matter is that if you go into debt, you're basically playing a bunch of head games with yourself. Because it's like, oh, I can't figure out how to make money because I've driven myself into this ground and now I owe all this money and I can't get out of it because I don't know how to do this and blah, 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 blah. And so the thing about with, what was I saying? With not making money is that it's a victim mentality. And I'll go into that later this week sometime. And I also cover this in my money bootcamp, which starts August 15th. So if you want in on that, let me know. What was I going to say? Okay. So if you're this chick who had the student loans and she paid them off and she's afraid to invest. Well, she's afraid to invest because the reality is she's afraid to increase her income ceiling. So and the reason why you're afraid to increase your income ceiling is there's a party that's afraid of actually having a level of success that you're not used to. So there's this party, and there's also a party that feels guilt, shame, and punishment about not handling your money responsibly. So if there's ever fear of not handling your money responsibly, you're going to have a resistance to making money, because if you think that you can't handle your money responsibly, you're not going to allow yourself to receive more money because you're thinking, well, I drove myself into so much debt. Well, how do I know I'm not going to drive myself into more debt? So I don't deserve to actually get in there and do something that's going to actually help me receive more money, aka getting your mindset work done. Because if your mindset work is in check and your mindset is in a place where you can actually go and manifest more money, well, what do you think you're going to do? The last time you had a lot of money, you went into debt, so you're in this cycle of, oh my God, I'm in debt. Oh my God, I'm in debt. What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? And then you're driving into, well, do I become the person who gets into debt, pays off debt, gets into debt, pays off debt? And this person, the third person, is usually smart enough to know, well, I don't want to be the person who gets into debt, goes out of debt, gets into debt, goes out of it, gets into debt, goes out of it. And then there is a fourth person. And then there's the one who just keeps going into debt, going in debt, going in debt, going in debt, going in debt. And then there's the person who is the one who has invested, but then they're afraid to go and actually, that was a sparkling water can. They're afraid to actually go into investing because they're afraid that they're actually going to, they're scared of the success that comes. And then there's the person who is obnoxious about saving their money, but they put all their money in a bank account, but they're not actually investing the money, but they're like, it's sitting there and they're like, oh no, I don't want to like go below my threshold with my cash flow, because if I do, then I'm like, I might have to go into credit card debt, and I'm afraid of actually like, spending too much money and not having the kind of money that I want in my bank, because that makes me feel important and special and all this other stuff. And so it's a resistance to actually receiving the money. So there's all these levels of resistance to seeing and receiving money, okay? So what I want you to do is I want you to figure out which one you are, and I want you to journal on which one you are and how you think about this, because this is killing your sales. This is killing your ability to make money, and you need to do something about it. Don't let this continue, okay? I will talk to you guys soon. Lots of love. Talk to you later. And if this was helpful for you, let me know in the comments. And if you have any questions about the Money Bootcamp, just let me know. Message me, and we'll hook that up for you. Okay, bye.